Good morning everyone, or good afternoon or evening depending when you're watching. Today we're talking about the calorie and what it is. The reason for this is everyone is aware of the calorie, as it has a significant impact on our day-to-day lives, and we also hear about it a lot, whether it's in the media, with friends, or on the labels of the very food we eat, especially if you're eating healthy or on a diet, which starts Monday by the way. However, there seems to be a bit of confusion about what a calorie actually is and how it works. So for the purpose of this video, we'll be focusing on the calorie itself and not necessarily on nutrition, in order to keep focus, as nutrition is another beast unto itself. As ever, this is a very broad subject with a lot of depth, so if you would like even more details than what is provided in this video, then please let us know in the comments along with your suggestions for other subjects as well. So, what is a calorie? Well, every cell in our body requires energy to function, and a calorie is a measurement of a unit of energy. It has been used to evaluate the heat from sources such as coal, but in nutritional terms it is the energy we get from burning the food that we eat, and that is burning it after we've eaten it, not before. A calorie was first defined as a unit of heat by Nicholas Clement in 1824 and comes from the Latin word calor, which translates directly as heat. There are two types of calories that are often labelled next to each other on your food containers if they're labelled at all. A small calorie, represented as cal, and a large calorie, represented as kcal. A small calorie is the amount of energy required to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius, whereas a large calorie is the amount of energy required to raise 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So, 1 large calorie is actually 1,000 small calories. With regards to nutrition, it is usually the large calorie that people refer to when referencing calories in food and drinks, such as that healthy 500 calorie salad on the food menu. You can also find calories expressed as kilojoules, where 1 calorie equals 4.18 kilojoules. This is because calories became defined as joules in 1925 and are often used by physicists and in chemistry. However, this can depend on what country you are in and what system they prefer using, to see if this is applied on nutritional labels, for example. How much energy is in a food really depends on the makeup of the food itself. For example, how much protein, carbohydrates and fat it contains. This is why some foods are low energy dense, such as vegetables, and others, usually containing fats and added sugars, are high energy dense. Some examples would be fat 37 kilojoules, carbohydrates 16 kilojoules, protein 17 kilojoules and water at 0. These are just examples, as not all fats and carbohydrates will contain the same amount of energy. There is also such a thing as an empty calorie. Empty calories are foods that are high energy dense but provide little or no nutritional value. This is often provided by adding sugars and solid fats. The most common source of empty calories are from processed foods, ice creams, fizzy drinks and sweets. Some foods that contain a lot of empty calories can contain a little nutritional value depending on what the food is, like the classic takeaway or fast food. For example, and without picking on a specific meal or provider of fast food, if the fast food has cheese and meat in it, then you would get calcium and protein. But fast food is often processed and nearly always contains added sugars in some form, usually added to improve taste, which provides high energy, lots of calories, but no nutritional value. Empty calories are particularly high in quantity when using sweeteners such as high fructose corn syrup. So how many calories does the human body actually need? Well, this differs from person to person based on a series of things such as health, activity, age, hormonal status, and a variety of other factors. For example, women in certain stages in their reproductive lives, such as pregnancy, will for sure require more calories than a woman who is not. Also, a young athlete will require more in order to maintain their high performance when compared to someone who is retired. But that being said, there is a base level which is recommended by various health authorities, although it is never that simple because even the health authorities can't seem to agree on a specific number. Here in the UK, the NHS recommends that an average male requires 2,500 calories, whereas a woman requires 2,000 calories. But this is a different value in other countries. For example, in America, it is 2,700 for a man. The reason for this difference is because the male and female bodies are very different when compared to each other. They produce different hormones and undergo different processes in certain circumstances, but the main difference is in muscle tissue. Muscle mass requires a large amount of calories to maintain and repair, and as men are more predisposed to having more muscle mass, this means they require more calories. But all of this simply provides a base level to work from in order to keep the body maintained and ticking over. If you are exercising or doing any variety of activity, then you will of course need more energy. There are many helpful programs, apps and equipment that can convert your exercise into quantifiable measurements to compare against the calorie intake. A good example of calorie intake is the recent Tour de France, where athletes required roughly 8,000 calories in order to maintain their performance. This brings difficulties into itself, such as how do you even get 8,000 calories into a person? There are even cases where athletes have given themselves conditions such as diabetes in the process of their career in order to maintain that performance. So to our final point, what happens when you do not intake enough energy or if you overindulge? Well, simply put, you become unhealthy either way. Both options bring about a series of health issues such as weak immune system, fragile bones, anemia, fertility issues and hair loss, to name a few, from being underweight. And of course, being overweight can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea and fatty liver disease. Again, the list goes on for both sides of the spectrum. However, it's important to note that it's not always everyone's conscious decision to become either underweight or overweight, which brings us to the rule of thumb: input versus output. While eating the right foods and eating healthy in general is always recommended, it is always important to remember that what you put into your body must be used in some way or another. This is why athletes can remain in top shape while consuming 8,000 calories, because the output required is incredible. But just try and eat that much while sitting on the sofa and doing nothing, and your shape will certainly become less lean. So remember, eating healthy and exercising is the key to life, and everything in moderation. So I'm told. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like and subscribe if you feel like doing so, and also your suggestions and comments below are always appreciated. Bye bye.